Hi there. Welcome to another episode of Create, the podcast where we break down the content strategies behind successful brands and creators. And today we're taking a look at Dollar Shave Club, a company that revolutionized the men's grooming industry with its witty marketing and disruptive business model.
Founded back in 2011 by Michael Dubin and Mark Levine, Dollar Shave Club started with a simple idea: deliver high-quality razors directly to consumers at an affordable price. But what really put them on the map was their legendary 2012 launch video.
Our blades are f***ing great.
That 90-second masterpiece of humor and irreverence racked up millions of views, catapulted the brand into the spotlight overnight.
And from there, Dollar Shave Club's growth was nothing short of explosive. They expanded their product line, continued to churn out hilarious content, and by 2016, they were acquired by Unilever for a cool $1 billion. Talk about a close shave with success.
Fast forward 2025, and Dollar Shave Club is still a major player in the grooming industry. They've weathered changes in ownership and market shifts, but their commitment to engaging content and consumer-centric approach remains razor sharp.
And what makes Dollar Shave Club so relevant today is how they've consistently used content to build a strong brand identity and foster customer loyalty. And from their viral videos to their witty social media presence and even their Bathroom Minutes blog, they've shown that great content can be a powerful tool for disrupting established industries.
So grab your favorite razor and get ready to slice into the content strategy that helped Dollar Shave Club become a household name. It's time to learn how they've kept their edge in the competitive world of men's grooming.
All right, men's grooming. This is your area of expertise. Right before recording this episode, I caught Jed combing his beard. Which is, to be honest, the first time I see a man doing that. So the grooming industry, the men's grooming industry is very foreign to me. Mm-hmm. What kind of products do you use for grooming?
It's funny that you mentioned that, because it's only a year ago that I started thinking about specific products for my beard. Because at first I would just comb it, and then I would realize that I was losing some hair. So right now I'm testing.
You're losing hair because you're combing it, or because you weren't treating it properly?
No, because I wasn't treating it properly. Got it. And fun fact, I had a partner that would always that would grab my my beard.
This is becoming a weird topic
as a relaxation thing, which is funny.
Right.
So she would always grab my hair, and then she would complain that
you no longer had
hair. Yeah.
All right. Well, this took a turn. This is yes.
Strange enough. So I currently have foam or soap, I would say, for my beard, and then I have this argan oil that I will use after washing my beard.
Had you heard from Dollar Shave Club before prepping for the episode?
No, I have to be honest. No, because it was in 2011, 2012, I think. I was probably something around 16 years old, so I wasn't definitely in their target. I had seen the ad.
I knew about them just because for me, the business model was very disruptive in the sense of these are mass-produced razors and you're going to sell them on a subscription service. Mm-hmm. And then somehow their founder pulled it off, and that stuck with me, even though I'm not their target.
Well, kind of.
Well, yes, I could have bought it for my partner.
Because 30% of women are basically their target, because usually they will get it for their partner, as you said.
Though I would say that their marketing, their messaging is very much geared towards men, right? If you have the slogan of our blades are fucking great, that is very much catering to the men who are sort of fed up with the fact that, first of all, refills for their blades were getting more expensive and every time they went to the store. And then all of the shaving ads is very much about it's athletes, and it's about prestige and about how close a shave you can get. And the majority of men just want to be able to shave well and forget about it, right? It's not this major thing. So the fact that they were very direct with their language was really spot on. They knew hey, we're not going after a luxury segment in the market. We're going after the everyday guy who just wants refills and they need to shave on maybe a daily or a couple of times a week basis. And they don't want to overpay for that. And so that was really great. And then the launch video was brilliant.
I think that's actually what skyrocketed everything, because usually what I basically saw is that, or I noticed is, for example, let's take Gillette, which is basically one of their competitors. They would definitely go for macro content creator or macro influencers like football players to be able to do a lot more of brand awareness, while these guys with a very low budget of around I think it was $4,000.
Well, they were a startup, so that's also the difference, right? Like these bigger brands are throwing around like hundreds of thousands of dollars for an ad, putting it on television, whereas Dollar Shave Club really had to do it with
what they had.
And then the background of the founder comes into play.
Sure.
Right? Because he did, if I'm not mistaken, like art school or performing arts school or something like that. He was very well-trained in comedy. So the founder wrote the script, which is a big thing. I've consulted for a lot of corporates, and we have this conversation all the time. Like when you see the budgets that corporates are paying creative agencies for stuff that like we know how to do, right? Like, so if you have that skill in-house, it's a powerful skill to have, because if you have to outsource it, the video that they now produce with 4.5K, I thought it was, which was basically the founder writing the script, the founder starred in it. They got probably a bunch of people in their team to star in it. And then because the founder went to performing arts college, he had a bunch of friends in the industry. So he found like friends with a little production company who charged like 4.5K to do it. And if you look at like how much you would spend if you outsource that to an agency, we're looking at anywhere from 60K to 100K for the same video, right? So the bootstrapping mentality is something that I really love. And I love just seeing like founders who are so multifaceted and they're like, I have a great idea for a business. I'm great at like building businesses, but hey, I'm also this wildly creative person who wants to do the marketing. And again, the founder went to performing arts school, had a large background in like an advertisements. So like he knew already like what worked, and then really put that like to the test with this venture of his. And to be honest, can we again say like it's razors on a subscription? This really like proves that if you're good at marketing and content, you can sell almost anything.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's really like kudos to them, to be honest, because I saw the video and I'm like, I'm not in the US. I was not their target. Was 2012?
Yeah, 2012. Yeah.
I was 20 years old then. So I was not their target at all. So to have seen that, to see also, I think we have the number somewhere of like almost 10,000 people signed up after.
12,000 more specific.
Yeah. They got a bunch of like views in the
website
first.
Went down. So
we have it here. So resulted in 12,000 new subscribers within 48 hours of launching that video. Even then, like, because it's a subscription service, what they were charging between $8 and $20 a month, something.
But while looking at this, I had a question that came in my mind. So this was purely organic, or do you think they, because I wasn't able to have that data specifically?
I think no. What I read was that he launched the launch video simultaneously when there was a large PR push about funding that they had raised. Okay. So they had a lot of press about that. And at the same time, they launched the video to promote their product. So it was, again, they did very well with like, we don't have a lot of budget, but we know we're going to get attention because of this press push. So then we'll launch the video at the same time.
Okay.
I was going to say, and then they didn't stop there, right? Like you can have a great launch video. If you stop there, then everything sort of falls flat after a couple of days. But they did I went through it, and you do see a little bit of a shift in their like content output and content approach not necessarily since the Unilever acquisition, but they got sold again 2 years ago. And you can sort of see that there was a lull after that. But up until then, everything was just so well done, because then they also launched a podcast. And initially when I read it in our research that we had done, I was like, how many episodes can you fill with like shaving content and grooming content? But that's not what they did. Instead, what they did is they launched a podcast as like 3 to 5 minutes episodes with a random fact about nothing, like just a random fact. And the whole point is you listen to it while shaving. So you learn something new while shaving. And I was like, that's brilliant, because like I get it. Like, you would like to have like more information on shaving, but no one's going to listen years on end to a podcast that talks about shaving and grooming. Mm-hmm. So to think about it and go like, well, how many minutes does a guy spend shaving in the morning? And like, if you shave every day, it's not that long, probably. Mm-hmm. So they're like, okay, we can teach them like a fun fact or a random fact every single day while they're shaving.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
And it also explains why they opted for audio only.
Mm-hmm, because I tried looking for the videos of that and they were like, okay, makes sense.
Initially, I also thought like, it doesn't make any sense like nowadays to launch a podcast for it not to automatically be video, because it's just, if you're going to create the content anyway, you might as well try and get as much out of it as possible. Sure. So you do video, then you pull the audio for streaming platforms, and then you have it on YouTube. You can pull shorts, you can create blogs, like whatever. They didn't do that. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. But if you're shaving, you're not watching. Mm-hmm. So you would just listen. So it makes perfect sense. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So they did that. And then on top of that, they are ranking for, I thought it was like 80,000 keywords.
SEO wise.
Yeah. So they very much like, again, kudos to that founder who was like, let's go all in on content and not just like one form of content. Because that's also something that we often see with like businesses who get stuck on like, no, but we do this very well. Or like, we really like video. So they like sort of don't do SEO at all. And this is really a company where they've done everything and they've kept their sense of humor.
No, I went to check a little bit some of the blog articles they created or they wrote, and you can see that it's definitely topics I would go search for on Google.
Yeah. And even really to the point of like, they have separate articles, for example, for ingrown hairs, razor burn, every sort of like phrasing that someone would use to ask the question, they have separate articles. So that they can rank for, like, even if it only is like 100 search volume a month, they would rank for that question because they have a specific article answering that question. And then if someone asks it in a different way, they'll have another article answering that specific question. And that's why they are ranking for so many keywords.
Okay, so what could be the advice or the tip you could give to anyone listening to us right now in terms of SEO or kind of having the same type of strategy?
Well, I think and that's something that for us at Clipmasters is so fun to see because we get to work with either the corporate that has a large budget that can do the full thing. Oh, we need the scripting and the production crew and the whole post-production. And we also see people who bootstrap. We also see people who go like, no, we'll do everything, we'll film everything, but then we just need that post-production done. So I think, again, like in any case, like I very much like to do things efficiently, like check what your budget is, what you're trying to achieve. There's a lot that you can do on your own. So if you can rope in friends and family, like just ask around. Or what I also like to say to people is like, if you don't have the budget to have like a full production crew, contact film schools. Yeah. Because there's plenty of people there looking for internships or like they're willing to do it for free because they're building their portfolio or for a lower rate. And then maybe work with a company like ours to do the post-production efficiently. That's like the launch video side of things. But it all comes back to really knowing your customer, to maybe being able to like able and willing to take risks. Because they gambled a bit, right? Like they went completely different than any other shaving company or men's grooming company had ever done. And it paid off. And then the consistency in that messaging, because I don't know if you went to their Instagram.
No, I did. That was actually.
Did you see the thing?
Which thing? Oh, yeah, the mirror.
The mirror. And I was so confused. So if you go to their Instagram or any of their socials now, you'll see a bunch of content for, what is it, like a ball shaving mirror?
Ball shaving with double mirror.
And it even looks like it's two mirrors, one for each ball. But the thing is, the way that they go about it is like they make it so serious and at the same time not. Like you can see it's like a joke and they're having fun with it, but they're not like laughing in the videos. They're very much like, this is how you shave your balls. And like it got to the point where I was like, is this real? Because they're even in the videos going, oh, go to our website if you want one. And I was like, I need to go check this out. And then I went to the website and of course it's not there because it was April Fool's and stuff like that.
Is it a real pain?
I thought But the way even that they like created the videos, you had people in the comments going, oh, I would buy this. I would like, I think because the idea is so crazy and they are just so bold, I would be like, people would buy this. And that is, again, like the testament to great marketing, great messaging is, again, you can literally sell anything.
It's a pain. It's a pain. But it is a pain. Of course, if you need to shave. But you could
use a normal mirror, right? Like you wouldn't need one with two to like, and again, if you're watching this or if you're listening to this, the hand movements are great at this point.
But as they say, every ball needs
a different mirror,
a different care or different.
But you could use a normal mirror.
Well, where do you get? Of course, you can use
a hand mirror, like.
Yeah, but men usually don't have hand mirrors or little mirrors. We don't like.
Would you purchase the ball mirror?
Oh, of course, I will.
Yeah.
Actually, I would. I'm thinking of
But I don't even know if it exists. And this is, again, the brilliance of their marketing is like they did all of the like shoots for it. And even like some of them very high end, especially if you now go to their TikTok. Like I feel like the new management has sort of like gone with like this very high end production value content, which still like it looks great. It's on brand. And it's all about the Dollar Shave Club being an actual like elite club that people get into, right? It's the content sort of concept. And then a guy walks up to like the front desk and he like tries a couple of words until he has like says the right password. And when he says it, he's handed like a robe and a mirror. So even in that high production value content, the mirror is there. But if you go on their website, you can't find it.
The mirror.
Yeah.
It's part of the package. Like it's part of the start package. Yeah.
Oh, because I got convinced like, wow, they went to like extreme lengths for the April Fools.
No.
It's
the
an
mirror
actual
exists.
thing.
Yeah.
But again, like, who comes up with this stuff? Like, I like.
But how do you? My question here is, okay, let's say you have these brand voice, and then marketing managers get switched. How do you make sure that it stays consistent? Because people, of course, you can have a brand kit and whatnot, but I feel like
this is where also like making sure that you hire for cultural fit is so important. And there are certain people, you can be a great marketing person, but if the brand, like the voice of a company doesn't match who you are as a person, or it's not something that you can feel into,
it's not going to feel natural.
It's very hard to like.
You can feel it, yeah.
There's a disconnect. And that's also something that actually I watched an interview where some of the team members of Dollar Shave Club talk about the founder. And they're just like, this is him. This is who he is. Like, he is confident. He is funny. Like, it's just how he is in everyday life. And so you almost have to have that connect. And it's something that we at Clipmasters see as well. So we have a ton of video editors in our team, a ton of creatives, graphic designers, etc. It's always about matching the right person with the right client. There are clients that I struggle to understand, and then we find this magic match, and then you're like, okay, you have it with you know who I'm talking about, right? Like there's one client, like I have such a hard time just understanding his vision, or when he's talking about like revisions or stuff that he wants to get done, I'm like, that's rarely happens to me. And then we just found an equally like I don't want to say weird person, but they love each other. Like they have that same thing going on, and that's not even.
Oh, now I see who you're talking about. I was thinking about another one. The one of our partners who create documentaries who actually.
Oh, same. Yeah. No, but that's still like there's like storytelling involved. Like it's actually like you do need to have like niche knowledge, but that like I feel like would be an easier fit to find.
No, well, the editor, the editor.
But even
really
there,
loves
like
what
it's just
doing,
a magical thing when you find that match and go like, oh, this is just natural to them. And then there's always like clients where you go like, we're gonna have to teach someone how to create content in this style. Like it's always harder. So you try to go for that, like just cultural fit. And so that's the same when we place creatives in clients' teams, or when a client needs to hire someone themselves. And I think that's also where maybe HR managers struggle. Because an HR manager isn't like marketing. They're just looking like, oh, this person studied, they've done 5 to 10 years here. They know what needs to be done. But if there's a disconnect in just like who they are as a person and what the brand represents, you're going to feel it.
That's true. Okay. So hiring the right people that fit with the culture.
Yeah.
Okay. Or
And
at
that's
least with the
harder to
vision.
do. That's harder to
it's
do
the
than
hardest.
that's something
It's
that
the
we've come
hardest,
to know in like growing Clipmasters is like
mhm.
that hiring process is like you really need to know what you're doing.
Okay. So if anyone that's listening wants to be able to create a launch video just like Dollar Shave Club, like what do they need? Like that okay, script. Of course, in addition to that, not every founder or not every team has someone as someone of a good actor.
Yeah.
So
that's also the
how
thing with them is like they didn't have to hire talent because the guy could do it himself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot. Like, and I think also it took me a long time to understand why people why agencies charge so much for it. Because of course I come from a background where at 15 I was producing for national television. So even when we do, for example, this podcast, I'm the lighting person, I'm the camera person, I am the research person. Like I know how to do these things myself. So whenever I was consulting for a corporate and I saw like the quotes that they got from creative agencies, I would be like, whew, why are they charging so much? But the reality is like the majority of people don't know how to do all of it. So like you'll have, if you go with an agency, you'll have an account manager or a project manager. You'll have someone for a scenario, maybe a team. Then you'll need someone, you'll need a director. You'll need one or two people on camera. You'll need someone for lights. You'll need to hire talent. Like that's why we're looking at 60 to 100K for a launch. You need location. Then you like have the post-production part of things. All of the equipment is also something that like you don't pay to buy it, but you pay a part to finance it, or because the studio had to buy it. So that's why you're looking at like 50 to 100K as a quote if you outsource or like if you use a creative partner to do all of that, because it requires 10 people, 15 people to work on that one video. If you also like depends on, again, production value. Like, do you want the agency or the studio to take care of all of the sets, or are you going to sort of go around scrambling for props and people who can be in the video? Do you need hair and makeup? Do you need like a stylist? And it just keeps adding to the bill. But then again, like if you look at the results that they got 12,000 subscribers within 48 hours of launching that video. You can spend 50 to 100K if it's done well, right? If it's executed well. If you don't have that budget, then you go and you bootstrap. You write your own scenario, you or someone you know stars in it, you find, like we're doing here, like this is my living room that we've converted into a podcast studio. So then you bootstrap and then you find a good post-production partner who can like tinker with it to make it look higher production value than maybe it was.
Okay. And that's where Clipmasters comes in. Yeah.
Well, yes, us or any like we can help with that if people want that. Of course, we're also looking for longer term partnerships, not just partnerships where we just do a launch video maybe.
No, not for sure. Yeah, because I was going to say, okay, you have the launch video and then later on, as you said earlier, you need to keep going with content. And from what I saw, they're doing a lot of UGC and partnerships with other creators who actually, as you said again, have the same
sense of humor.
Yeah,
of course, like you have a launch video and then like that's just a start. After that, like you need to keep going. You need to make sure that you keep that initial interest that you get from people alive, because I'm sure like if we were able to find the actual numbers of like how many people eventually signed up after they watched that launch video, it would be a lot more than 12,000. Because as in any marketing cycle, is like that launch video is probably the first like touch point that someone has with your brand. And then you'll have early adopters who are like, oh yeah, I want this. This looks cool. I'll just jump in. Those are the people that don't necessarily care about other people's opinion and they like being first. And then you'll have an entire next wave that will come once those 12,000 people start leaving reviews and start talking about your product.
So basically, there's the launch video.
Yeah.
Then after that, you need to keep on creating content because, of course, every company today needs to be kind of a marketing or a media company. So they need to create content. What type of content did Dollar Shave Club create after that?
I think they went with like content concepts, which they still do, and they're very strong about. Yep. But I think anyone listening to this, the first type of content that I would recommend people create after a launch video, or like make sure it's ready by the time that you launch, is retargeting ads, because you're going to get a ton of traffic to your website. And the last thing you want is like lose out on that potential. So even before we think about what other content concepts could we have, like you create shorter versions of that launch video as retargeting ads, and then maybe also some actual products ads when people went to specific pages or something like that, that you can actually retarget them. And that's already like powerful if you do that 30, 60 or 90 days after someone's visited your website. And then that also gives you a little bit of leeway to sort of like create your follow-up content, because you're going to ride that wave of that launch video for a bit. You don't immediately have to like push other content concepts. Like you can create some little spin-offs of that launch video, a behind the scenes of that launch video, some founder interviews, then immediately customer reviews, like people who've purchased the thing from the launch video, what was their experience? And then you can start looking at, okay, how do we now accompany our customer throughout their entire journey? So what they did very well was that podcast. Okay, now that you've bought our product, we want to tie you in, because it's a subscription. We want to tie you in as long as we can. So we want you to feel part of the community. So how do we do that? Okay, we're going to have this podcast that you can listen to while you're shaving. I think they also have a community thing going on, because the way that they talk on their socials, have a club. It's an actual club kind of thing. And then you just like the same form of humor. You find great influencers and creators who share that sense of humor. Then the blog content comes along, and then they launched a ton of different products over like the next couple of years. And then that every time had a sales cycle as well, and a content cycle. But for me, if you're a smaller brand or a startup, you do the launch, you make sure you have your retargeting ads prepped so that you can have those just running in the background. Whenever someone visits the website, they get retargeted. Founder interviews, which is what we see with tech startups now. They do really well. Some of our clients do that. Interviews with customers, maybe even like unboxing the product. Like it's simple. It seems like simple, but like it does a lot, especially for those people who aren't early adopters, for those people who are a bit more on the fence. I would guess like some men would have thought like, why is it that cheap? It's going to be like a crappy product. Is it made in China? It's going to be like these bulk blade, like, and then you want to like have something to counter that.
Which is what he does in a great way in the launch video, because he addressed that as immediately after mentioning the offer, the €1 or $1 blade. Where he says blades are fucking good.
Great.
Fucking great.
I just really loved like the entire like sense of humor of the launch video. The fact that all of a sudden he's sitting in like a trolley with like a Mexican looking guy, and he's like, this guy didn't have a job last month. What were you doing last month? Nothing. Exactly. Like,
what are you doing now? Working well.
And so like it's the type of humor that other people would be like, oh, this is like, let's stay away from that. That's not politically correct.
But he's bold on it.
And he's like, I don't care. Which was lovely. And I think it doesn't necessarily mean that if you're listening to this, that your tone of voice needs to be that bold. You don't have to go and copy it, but like learn a little bit from it, be maybe a bit more courageous in your messaging, and most of all, stick to it. Know your audience. I think that's where it starts. Know your audience, and then talk to them in a way that they like being talked to. It sort of sums up, sums up their entire way of working. And then production wise, you'll have like what I imagine is they do have like a very strong in-house team. And they work with external, at this point especially, like maybe in the beginning it was more like friends and family and people he knew, and but now like they've been acquired twice. Like this is a solid operation. I'm not even sure if the founder is still part of it.
No, I don't think so. But I think from what I researched a little bit, I think they work with external agencies and they have in-house marketing managers.
But the majority of larger businesses will do it like that. And that's something that we always like stress to people joining Clipmasters, but also something that we had to learn as founders is when you initially found something, I think as an entrepreneur, you have to have a bit of a mindset where you're like, I can probably do this better, because otherwise you wouldn't start anything. Like you wouldn't see a gap in the market and be like, I can do this. So you need to have that, but it's also to your detriment at times, because then you go, oh, but I can build this thing and I can do everything in-house. There's only so much time you have, only so much knowledge you have, and people forget like what kind of a learning curve that you have whenever you try to build something new. So if you then like try to build a content team in-house or try to like buy all of the equipment in-house, and I am like in favor of corporates having equipment so that they don't have to like outsource to agencies for all the stuff that they do, which is something that I also come across with like large corporates. They spend millions on these agencies a year and they don't have a camera in-house. So any social media post needs to go to the agency. And at that point, I'm like, that like messes up the spontaneity that should be social media. So I am a fan of having a like close-knit team in-house and then having great creative partners who all have their like sort of area of genius that they operate in.
That's good. But I also wanted to speak about being a key person of influence in this specific case, right? Where he was a founder. Of course, he wanted to be able to work with the resources he had. But how much of, I feel like it was very much impactful that he did it rather than having an actor, for example.
That he
and it
played
was
in
like
the
a
video.
consistent, or at least it was someone consistent that people were used to seeing, which basically the message here, I want to let people know that. I want to let people know that they are able to actually create content.
Yeah.
As of now, like they can do it. They can be the key person of influence. They can be the ones creating that content and eventually getting some help with the post-production.
For sure. But I think it also, we have to have a nuance here in the sense that, again, the fact that he did it was wonderful because he had that background and he was great on camera. And you'll have founders, and we have this with one of our clients where it's like a founder duo and we always see one of them because the guy is just better on camera. He's more charismatic. It flows. And then sure, go do that. But I've also worked with clients in the past who are like very adamant on like they want to be on screen. And this was back like in another one of my ventures where we would do the content research, send everything over, client would film, send it back, we would do a post. And there's only so much you can do when the person isn't good on camera. Now, am I saying you can't learn that? No, for sure. You can start creating content today, suck at it, keep going, improve, and you're going to be great eventually. It's just, again, thinking about like, do you have time for that? And the majority of startups don't. Like it's sort of, they have a 12-month window to sort of test product market fit to see if it's going to hit or not, 12 to 18 months. So then you don't have time if one of the founders isn't good on camera to go, oh, let's now start a YouTube and just practice.
Well, it could be anyone in the team. Like
anyone in the team. I'm not saying you have to hire a famous person, right? I'm not saying that because that can also go both ways. If you find someone, you're going to have to make sure that it's really the right person. Because if they have a following that doesn't resonate with what it is that you're doing, you sort of wasted your own money. But we do have to like give credit where credit is due. Like the guy who founded Dollar Shave Club was a great actor. He studied to be like performing. He studied performing arts. So like he had that skill set. And again, sort of to walk it back to what I said earlier, like if you can, great, you're going to save a ton of money. Or if someone in your team can, same thing. If you can't, don't force yourself to do something that maybe isn't like your zone of genius and just find someone who can do it better and leave ego out of it.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree. I agree with that. Yeah, I just wanted to motivate people to create content and, and go forward. But
there's
makes
also
sense,
there's levels to it. Like I would say, like if you want to like dabble in creating content, do it when it's lower stakes. Like don't go and be in like the launch video that needs to bring you a ton of like subscribers or clients if you're not sure you're that great at it. But you could do customer interviews to get comfortable in front of the camera or like, and maybe even do like a trial run to see right? Because we've had this when we recorded last week. So last week we recorded Founder Confessional and you went on the first day and you were just very nervous and you weren't really answering like yourself. And then the second day was my turn to answer the questions. And then you were like, no, I want to go again. Like now I'm ready. Like, so sometimes it's just about being in that flow, which is why we also batch create these episodes. And we'll know like by the third or the fourth, like we'll be in flow and we'll just be able to talk and we won't notice that the cameras are there anymore. All those things can help.
Sure.
I think that's sort of in the gist.
Yeah, because
the
I think
strategy.
we could go.
Yeah, we could keep going, but that's sort of like, I think the most important key takeaways that anyone can apply from what Dollar Shave Club did. And if you do have questions or you have a brand or a creator that you want us to discuss, leave it down in the comments below and then make sure that you subscribe, like, and share wherever you are listening or watching from. And then we'll see you in the next one.